Boko Haram kills Red Cross worker Hawa Liman, promises to keep Leah Sharibu as a slave for life. Death toll rises to 200 in Osisioma fuel pipeline explosion in Abia State. Protesting youth shut down NNPC depot. In international news, Saudi Arabia considers admitting journalist Khashoggi's died in botched interrogation at its consulate in Turkey. And in sports, Nigeria-Libya AFCON qualifier second leg today in Tunisia.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Boko Haram has executed Red Cross worker Hawa Amina Liman. Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed said the federal government was shocked and saddened by the killing of Liman, despite actions taken by the government to forestall her killing and the widespread appeal to save all adopted individuals. Liman and Ali's Glokcha were seized by Boko Haram in March during an attack of run on Nigeria's far northeastern border. Liman's killing was the second execution of 8 workers after Safura Huzane last month. Monday's killing was carried out following the failure of the Nigerian government to meet some of the TEL group's demands by the time their deadline elapsed on Monday. Death toll from last Friday's fuel pipeline explosion in Osisioma area of Abia State has risen to 200. Protesting youths from host communities of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) have angrily shut down operations at the facility over the incident. 2,000 the youths barricaded the scene of the pipeline explosion and blamed the pipeline explosion on what they called NNPC's negligence. They blamed that NNPC was pumping fuel through a leaking pipeline which had been abandoned for more than 3 years. The Senate will deliberate today on the 53 billion naira that has been earmarked for security agencies to run the February 2019 general elections. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriation, Danjuma Goje, will present the report of the committee for the House to debate and possibly approve the budget estimate. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has listed the controversial Electoral Act Amendment Bill for debate on Tuesday, 47 days after President Muhammadu Buhari made public his decision not to assent to the bill passed by the National Assembly. The president rejected the bill because it contained an election sequence reordering clause. The Kano State House of Assembly has constituted a 7-man committee to investigate the authenticity of the video recording of a governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, as he was allegedly receiving a bribe. The committee was constituted following a motion of urgent public importance filed by the lawmaker. An online news website had released one video on Sunday showing the governor allegedly receiving up to $230,000 from Kano State Public Works contractors for the construction and allocation of stalls in a new market. A second video, conclusions to the first one, was released on Monday. The governor has denied the allegations contained in the video. Ekiti State's debt profile, which stood at 117 billion naira at the beginning of the year, has risen by another 3 billion. A document forwarded to the Debt Management Office by the outgoing state government shows the state incurred the additional 3 billion naira debt between March and June this year. The Abuja Federal High Court has cleared the way for a civil society group, Kingdom Rights Foundation International, to go on with a lawsuit which centers on allegation of money laundering, operation of a foreign bank account, corruption and assets declaration irregularities against the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachuku. The minister was sued alongside the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, the Code of Conduct Bureau, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, President Muhammadu Buhari, and the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. The group is asking the courts to conduct a judicial review of the administrative action or inaction of the defendants to perform their constitutional and statutory mandates and obligations in connection with investigation and prosecution of Kachuku. The National Industrial Court in Abuja has dismissed the lawsuit brought by a former spokesperson of the Department of State Services, Marlene Oga, challenging her compulsory retirement from the service. Oga and 44 other persons were demoted and compulsorily retired by the federal government in September 2015. In her judgment, Justice Olufunke Anuwe held that the originating summons filed by Oga was invalid and dead on the ground. The former DSS spokesperson had pleaded with the court to nullify her retirement and reinstate her with all her ranks, salaries and benefits. Oga further asked the court to set aside her demotion from Assistant Director to Chief Security Intelligence Officer. The Nigerian Government Committee on Earth Tremor has partially lifted initial suspension of all blasting and mining activities around the areas that recently experienced minor earth tremors in the FCT. This conclusion came up from a crucial meeting held on Monday in the Ministry of Science and Technology. The Cabinet Committee on Earth Tremor says constructions and blasting of stones resumes around the affected areas with the exception of Mbappe. The committee says the decision to resume mining activities only accommodates construction activities and blasting of stones. Reports say the stability of power supply in Nigeria has been threatened as fiber optics and transmission towers are used for telecommunication services by Phase 3 Telecom rather than to monitor the national grid. The transmission company of Nigeria cancelled a 15-year contract with Phase 3 Telecoms and Algeria Engineering Company in January after it claimed the firms underperformed. Both firms had challenged the cancellation in court, with the firm securing a court injunction to stay action. TCN had said various system collapses of the power grid had been traced to the use of fiber optics on the transmission towers for telecommunication services rather than for real-time grid monitoring through a robust SCADA. Phase 3 Telecom provides broadband internet protocol to a range of government departments, enterprises and homes in Abuja. Controller General of Nigerian Immigration Service, Mohammed Babandede, has said issuance of Nigerian passports for 10 years validity will commence in December. The Immigration Board and some senior officers were in Ibadan for the first international conference on border intransition at the University of Ibadan. Babandede explained that the new passport would have features that could stand the test of time, adding it will run concurrently with the old ones. President Buhari has approved the new document. Babandede added that NIS had also improved accessibility to the Nigerian visa through the introduction of visa on arrival for immigrants whose countries had no embassy. Coming up, African stories. Cameroon opposition rejects leaked results showing Biya's victory. And later, Saudi Arabia considers admitting Khashoggi died in botched interrogation.
You are watching ANN.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Adam, go and bring us your husband. Okay, hello baby.
We're in this together, okay? Can you hear me? Keep coming forward.
Wait, stop.
You okay, lean to your right. Keep walking down. Keep walking to the left. Yes.
You're almost here.
Keep going.
You are here. Wow, you did it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to use my cane to do this.
And I am so glad no other man got you before me. Let me be your eyes.
We will never stop working to give you a network you can rely on so you can enjoy life's special moments. MTN, everywhere you go.
Welcome back. This is CNN News. To African stories now. Cameroon's main opposition candidate, Maurice Kamto, says he rejects the leaked election results that show incumbent President Paul Biya winning by a landslide. Kamto had declared himself winner of the October 7 presidential election last week. In a Facebook post on Monday, Kamto said the figures are fake results, which he credited to Transparency International. The Constitutional Council had up to October the 22nd to announce the final results of the presidential election. The Gambian government has launched a Truth and Reconciliation Commission on Monday to shed light on human rights violations and abuses during the regime of former President Yahya Jammeh. The commission's strobe lights would also be focused on summary executions, disappearances, torture, rape, and other crimes committed during Jammeh's year. Jammeh became president after a military coup in 1994. He installed a structure of oppression and corruption that touched nearly every part of the Gambian society. A shortage of foreign currency has hit the pharmaceutical industry in Zimbabwe, with reports that stocks of some drugs are critically low. To keep up with rising costs and be able to restock, a number of pharmacies have opted to charge in US dollars, which has adversely affected a large number of people needed life-saving medication in the country. Gardner Willard Mugabe suffers from diabetes for the past 5 years and now has difficulty refilling his medication.
I was down to my last 2 tablets and went to get more. As usual, I had bond notes, but the pharmacy staff told me that they would only accept payment in US dollars. They apologized for the situation but said it wasn't their problem.
The Zimbabwe government is using a loan facility received from the African Export-Import Bank earlier to intervene and turn the situation around. The family of kidnapped Tanzanian businessman Mohamed Deji has offered a cash reward for information that would help free him. Deji's family announced on Monday a cash reward of about $500,000 to anyone with useful information that would lead to his rescue. 30 people have already been arrested in connection to the kidnapping and assisting Tanzanian police in the investigation. Deji, listed as one of the youngest billionaires in Africa, was adopted early Thursday morning as he went for his routine gym session in Dar es Salaam. The CEO of a U.S.-backed academy in Liberia has temporarily resigned after a report found that dozens of girls were allegedly raped by an employee. Katie Maley, chief executive officer of the charity Mother Me, announced she would step aside after a report by ProPublica and Time magazine reviewed the abuse. Mother Me says they have taken steps to safeguard girls at the school, which is devoted to women's empowerment. The group has also created a panel to review the investigation. Mother Me now runs 19 schools in Liberia, teaching approximately 4,000 students. It has also received almost $600,000 from the U.S. government, and Maley had been praised by celebrity philanthropists, including Oprah Winfrey, Bill Gates, and Warren Buffett. Former President Barack Obama also invited her to the White House. Alien Resources Group, one of China's top 100 private enterprises, puts managing natural resources at the heart of its business model, has established the certification control cooperation with Morocco and Nigeria in the past week. Alien signed a memorandum of understanding on Thursday with the government of the Oriental region of Morocco to curb desertification in that region.
非洲的很多的国家实现了治撒减贫，那么这也是我们落实这个今年北京中非弄它的一个重要行动，也是落实这个我们中国提出来的绿水青山就是金山银的生态文明的绿水青山就是金山银山的生态文明思想在非洲的一个落地生根。
Alien had signed another MOU with Imo State in Nigeria's south as part of exploration of investment opportunities in the country. Governor Rochester Okorocha said the desire of Alien Resources Group to invest in the state would go a long way to solve its power generation challenges.
This will actually show up the economy of Imo State. This will make Imo greater than what it is, because all our problems have been that of power, and we have the gas. So gas is power, and we've been waiting for this long to see who can move our gas into power, so that the economic life of the people can change. If Alien comes here and establish this power and create this industrial park, the industries will thrive, the employment will grow in a geometrical progression, and people will be happy for it.
When we return, Saudi Arabia may consider admitting Khashoggi died during investigation. And later, Nigeria-Libya's second leg hosts today.
You are watching ANN.
If you know fit go internet or follow for Twitter, you know fit snap photo send or get it photo send. Now because you dey use Palasa, your phone no dey answer. See me see wahala. My brother, go get smartphone, yeah. Drop that Palasa phone. Phone wey no go for your hand, drop that Palasa phone. Phone wey no fit take selfie, drop that Palasa phone. No be correct phone, drop that Palasa phone.
Upgrade to a smartphone today and get double data for 6 months on any MTN data bundle you buy. Simply purchase a smartphone from any store, anywhere in Nigeria, or bring your current smartphone from any network. Insert your MTN SIM card to start enjoying your double data bonus. Offer is open to all new and existing MTN subscribers. Join the largest smartphone movement today.
Make it known for your hand, that's Palasa phone.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is in the news. On the foreign scene, Saudi Arabia is considering an admission that journalist Jamal Khashoggi died during an interrogation that went wrong at the Saudi consulate in Turkey. Khashoggi is Saudi national U.S. resident who became increasingly critical of the powerful Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, has not been seen since he walked into the kingdom's Istanbul consulate more than 2 weeks ago. Turkish officials have said they believed he was killed, a claim Saudi Arabia had so far denied. Dozens of Afghan police were killed or wounded in heavy fighting in northern and central provinces overnight, just 2 days before parliamentary elections, which the insurgents have promised to disrupt. The latest fightings came despite increasing signs of moves towards possible peace talks. It followed a meeting in Qatar last week between Taliban officials and new U.S. Special Envoy for Peace in Afghanistan. At least 14 Iranian security personnel, including members of the Revolutionary Guards, were kidnapped on the border with Pakistan on Tuesday in the city of Mejave in Sistan Balochistan province. A Sunni separatist group said it is responsible, and spokesman of the Sunni militant group said the attack was in retaliation for what he called Iranian state's operation against Sunni people. French President Emmanuel Macron has reshuffled his government on Tuesday after 2 weeks of fevered speculations about changes that would see former socialist MP Christophe Castaner take up the key position as Interior Minister. The reshuffle was forced by the unexpected resignation of former Interior Minister Gerard Collomb, a major blow to the 40-year-old president as he struggles with record low poll numbers. Paul Allen, co-founder of Microsoft, has died. He was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin in 2009 and died in Seattle, Washington State in the late hours of Monday. He was 65. Allen was a philanthropist and ranked among the world's wealthiest individuals with an estimated net worth of more than $20 billion. He He owned 2 professional sport teams and was also an electronic guitarist who funded and designed the Experience Music project in Seattle. Bill Gates, Allen's best friend, said personal computing would not have existed without him. Gates and Allen co-founded Microsoft Corporation. Up next, sport. Super Eagles to arrive Tunisia today ahead of second leg against Libya. Stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
MTN gives 2,000% bonus for reactivating your MTN SIM. That's right. If you haven't used your MTN SIM for 45 days or more, recharge now and get 2,000% bonus. That's right, 2,000% bonus for your first recharge of every month.
We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow this story everywhere, from every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse. We bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In sports, Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode has said the 4th edition of the Lagos City Marathon, which is scheduled for February, is expected to feature more than 150,000 athletes from around the world. Ambode said this at the press conference at the Lagos House in Ikeja. The 2019 edition of the race is targeted at setting new world records. Super Eagles players and officials have touched down in Tunisia ahead of their African Cup of Nations qualifiers against Libya today. They have begun training for the first time at the 18,000 capacity stadium where the game would take place. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. Nigerian time, barring an hour and a half from now. We wish them great success again. That is the ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on this and other stories, visit our website, tnnafrica.net. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at TNN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.